What's going on, guys? Your boy Amazing here, back with another video, and in today's video, guys, we are here with the 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross November 2024 updated PvP and PvE tier list. In today's video, guys, we're going to be updating with the characters that came out in November with the Prince Sigurd, LR Queen Diane, the UR Vargis, and UR Lancelot, and we're actually going to be ranking them on my PvP tier list and my PvE tier list as well, and we'll see exactly where they rank in terms of how strong the characters are that are already in the game versus these brand new characters. If you guys want to see this tier list again before it was actually changed, feel free to click the link in the description. You can see my tier list from last month, you know, from October, when I actually did add the characters from the slime collab and all that. So if you do want to see the update for that, feel free to check that out, or you can pause the video and kind of see, you know, for whatever case for each of these tier lists, like any of the characters here. But yeah, with that out of the way, guys, let's hop in and let's talk Sigurd here and where we're actually gonna rank him on the tier list. Post editing amazing, guys. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, man. I forgot to mention that in the video, but yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, with the growth in the channel, it's been insane. You know, make sure to hit that sub button, man. 47k subs recently. Let's go for that 48k and the 50k as well, guys. So all right, enjoy the rest of the video. Alright, so starting off with the Prince Sigurd right here. He was the first character to release in November this month, guys. So let's talk about exactly what he's able to do in his kit, and then we'll talk about where we actually place him on the PvP and PvE tier list. So starting off with his unique right here, we have Corrupted Prince, and this is going to be a backline supportive effect as well, active even in the sub slot. So for each applicable ally participating in the battle, their basic stats increase by 5%, and damage dealt increases by 10%, and the hero is given the additional race demon. At the end of the enemy's turn, all enemies are inflicted with the Graham's Curse for 4 turns, and when the hero enters the battle from the secondary slot, all instances of Graham's Curse are removed from all enemies at the start of the ally's turn, decreasing their corresponding enemy's remaining HP by 15% and increasing the hero's attack-related stats by 15% up to 45% for each instance of Graham's Curse removed, limit of once. And the applicable allies are going to be humans and demons, and the Graham's Curse is going to be HP related minus 10%, stacking up to 3 times. Now, moving on to his Holy Relic here, guys. Yeah, I mean, this is an older Holy Relic. He already had this from the Red Sigurd, but this one does apply for this one as well. So for the Holy Relic effect, at the start of the battle in PvP, increases the hero's basic stats by 25% of the basic stats of the enemy with the highest combat class, and this is going to exclude basic stats increased by uniques or buffs. Alright, now moving on to his skills here, we have Draconic Slash. This is going to inflict pierce damage equal to 200% of attack on one enemy, and this is going to scale up to the 500% of attack, guys. And then pierce rate is going to be triple the pierce rate increase, so obviously it's increasing the pierce substat that you have, and you're going to be tripling that to do more damage. Now moving on to the next skill, we got the Dark Onslaught, so it's going to inflict corruption damage equal to 150% of attack on one enemy. Corruption is going to be damage dealt plus 1.2% per 1% of remaining HP, and then critical chance plus 50% for each instance of Graham's Curse on the enemies. And then moving on to his ultimate here, guys, the final thing we got. So it's going to be, this is at level 1 and a 6. So Slave Fafnir, it's going to inflict flood damage equal to 560% of attack on one enemy, and flood is going to be 0.8% additional damage for every percent of remaining HP on self. Alright, guys, now that we've gone over Sigurd's kit here, let's actually rank him on the PvP tier list first. So in terms of PvP, guys, I think Sigurd's actually going to be in the A tier. A solid A tier character. He's a really good backline for both demons and humans, and we know how strong humans and demons are in the meta right now. I'd say humans are definitely the 3rd best team in PvP right now, or maybe, yeah, about 3rd best team in PvP. So they're still definitely viable, demons being around 3rd, 4th, I would say. So overall, very, very strong, you know, character. Being able to run him as a backline, you get basic stat, you know, increase. It is very valuable, man, for sure. So, you know, you're getting that buff from Sigurd, and I think he's able to provide that. You know, he has that backline support from the back, and the moment he comes out, he can actually dish out some damage too if you get some top decks with his cards. So for PvP, guys, I'm gonna rank him in the A tier. It makes the most sense. I wouldn't say he's in the top of the meta, and this is obviously gonna change too, guys, because this was from last month, right, with the demons here. This is gonna change, and we're gonna, you know, move it around once we do slot in, you know, the upcoming festival here for the tier list here. So all right, let's move on now to the PvE tier list. Now, for Sigurd in PvE, you're not really going to be able to benefit from a lot of his passive. That's the only thing that kind of sucks. But another thing to take into account, though, is that he is a green human, so he definitely does have niche use. I'm going to put him in the B tier, and the reason why I say this is because you can run him as a backline support. He does have that backline supportive effect. He is a human, so he's going to benefit from Roxy, where you can do additional damage past the initial hit. He does have a single target skill in that. And yeah, I mean, you know, just giving basic stats and damage dealt to humans or demons Valentine's in PvE, still a viable thing, man. It's the same kind of situation as like, you know, Green Percival, where, you know, he's a human as well, and he's providing more of like a supportive effect for the team. So I do value that, and I am gonna slot him in the B tier here as a niche, you know, character, right? You know, you're not really gonna be using him for too many things, but he's still very, very strong in what he does. Now, moving on to the next character here for the tier list, guys, we got the Waves of the Earth Queen Diane, the LR version. Now, this Diane did get LR in the beginning of November, and so now we actually can decide where we're gonna rank the character based on her kit. So let's actually go over her passive here. So, Queen of the Earth, when taking damage from an enemy attack, the hero's damage dealt increases by 15% up to a maximum of 60%. Their attack related stats will also increase by 7% up to a maximum of 28%, and the amount of HP they lose through skills and skill effects is converted to points that accumulate up to a maximum of 500,000 points. And when the hero uses a skill, their damage dealt increases by 30% of that accumulated amount. So you get up to 500,000 in terms of the amount of damage you can take, and you know, you're going to be doing 30% of that as extra, you know, accumulated points damage. Now, another thing as well is that every time the hero enters a stance, allies attack related stats increase by 15% for 2 turns, and this is a gray buff attack related stats. And while the stance is active, allies damage taken decreases by 40%, and the hero's damage taken from skills during the enemy's turn will not exceed 60% of the maximum HP. Alright, so moving on now to her Holy Relic here, guys. This is another really nice supportive effect. This was on the original Queen Diane before she got LR, right? So, increases allies damage dealt by 30% for 2 turns when the hero assumes a stance, and this is going to be for all content, just like her passive as well, guys. Is all content in the game. Alright, so moving on to her first skill here, we got Crazy Rush. This is going to decrease HP related stats of one enemy by 20% for 1 turn, then inflicts pulverized damage equal to 198% of attack, and if the hero has 4 orbs or more in the ultimate move gauge, 1 orb is removed from the enemies as well, and then you get pulverized, which is 20% additional damage for each orb in the hero's ultimate move gauge. Any scaling is going to be 20, 25, and 30 for the HP related, and it's going to be 198, 297, 495 for the actual pulverized damage itself, guys. Alright, now moving on to our next skill here, we got the Spinning Hammer. So this is going to assume a stance for 2 turns, which increases the HP related stats by 20% and taunts the enemy. So taunt is obviously going to direct all attacks towards self. Now the rank 2 is going to be 3 turns with 25% HP related, and then the rank 3 is going to be 3 turns 35% HP related. And then moving on to our ultimate here, guys, this is going to be at the 6 out of 6 dupe level. So bear in mind, you know, the changes from, you know, like a 1 out of 6 to 6 out of 6. So at 6 out of 6, it's going to decrease HP related stats of all enemies by 30% for 2 turns, then inflict quell damage equal to 570% of attack, then restores HP to all allies equal to 30% of the damage dealt, and quell is going to be 50% damage dealt increase per active stance on self. Alrighty, guys, so where are we going to be ranking LR Queen Diane on the PvE tier list? So let's do PvE first. LR Queen Diane in PvE is going to go in the A tier, and I think she's a very, very strong PvE character in the game. You can use her in the Demon King, you can use her in Demonic Beast Battle, and pretty much anything you're going to use her in PvE wise, guys. She's going to be the best hunter in the game by far. You know, you have Valentine's Queen Diane, which I think is a really good secondary option in PvE as well. So I have her right here. So Valentine's Queen Diane is in a very similar spot as this LR Queen Diane. You know, you can use both for their attack related buff. LR Queen Diane's though will not block the attack in the Demon King because it is a gray buff, but it is still a fairly substantial, you know, 15% attack related buff regardless. And yeah, it's still really good. And then Demonic Beast is going to be the exact same thing. You're not providing basic stats for the team like Valentine's Queen Diane does, but it's still going to be a lot of, you know, buffing the team in terms of your damage dealt, the attack related stats, and she's going to be dishing out really good damage on her own too, which Valentine's Diane can't really do. So, you know, it's kind of your, pick whichever character you like the most, right? You either build up basic stats with this Queen Diane, or you run this Queen Diane right here so she can provide the extra little bit attack related, but also her increased damage will be a lot more than this Valentine's Queen Diane, guys. So yeah, both of them are A tier though. Across the board, they're going to be really good for pretty much all PvE content, and yeah, that's where I'm going to rank Diane in the PvE side of the game. Now moving on to PvP here, guys, where are we going to be ranking LR Queen Diane? In my opinion, this character is going to go in the top of the meta right now, which is crazy. She is not contingent on a certain team archetype because she is pretty much run on every team now. From what I've seen, you know, people slaughter on Unknown, they slaughter on Sins, they slaughter on Humans, they slaughter on literally everything, guys. Demons, they slaughter in any team because this Queen Diane, as we mentioned, she is not restricted to any type of race. She's always providing that 15% attack related stats and the 30% damage dealt on her stance use, and she's building up her, building up her attack related stats and damage dealt. She has damage cap on her stance as well. I mean, this character is absolutely insane in PvP, and a real surprise in my opinion. I did not expect a LR character in Grand Cross other than Milim to get into the top of the meta here with all these other characters. So yeah, man, just a very strong character overall, guys, and I'm gonna slot her in the S tier in terms of the PvP tier list. Moving on to the next character here, guys, we got the retired knight Vargis. Now this is a top 100 character, so I'm gonna evaluate the character and I'm still gonna rank him based on where he would be if everyone was to own him. But bear in mind, guys, that because he's a top 100 unit, not everyone's gonna be able to access this character, but I do want to kind of evaluate where I would place him based on his kit and what he's able to do. So let's go over it together. So we have his passive right here, which is going to be Dependable Grandpa. When participating in the battle with an applicable ally, the hero and the applicable ally's defense related stats will increase by 30%, and the applicable ally is going to be Percival. Now for his skills here, we're going to have Spike Single Target, so it's going to deal 160% of attack to one enemy, and it's going to do 2 times critical damage increase, and that's going to scale up from 160 to 40 for 100% of attack. And then moving on to his next skill here, guys, we got the Takedown skill. This is going to inflict damage equal to 160% of attack on one enemy and decrease the skill ranks of the enemy as well. And then on the higher ranks here, it's going to do the exact same thing, but then also deplete the ultimate move gauge by the number of skills that had their ranks decrease as well. So starting from the rank 2 into the rank 3, so you have 160, 210, 400, and then on the rank 2, rank 3, you get the gauge reduction based on the ranks that were reduced. Then moving on to his ultimate here, guys, we have at 1 out of 6, obviously, Hunter's Harpoon. So it's going to cancel busted stances on one enemy and inflicts damage equal to 490% of attack, then stuns for 1 turn, and stun is going to prohibit all action. Alrighty, guys, now where are we going to slot in Vargis in PvP and the PvE tier list? Now, again, remember, he's a top 100 unit, so for the most part, guys, he's not really going to be that crazy. I mean, I think he could be a solid Chaos Battle character for PvP, I think. Having that extra 30% defense-related stats for a Percival and him could be good, and he's probably going to be a very low, character, but he is very restrictive, he is very restrictive. I will probably put him in the B tier, though, for PvP. I think for PvP, he's going to be viable in that Chaos Battle, things like that where you can kind of just run like meme teams, and him alongside Percival, I mean, that's a lot of defense related stats, right? So definitely pretty good right there in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, if you do have him, feel free to run him, but it's a top 100 character, guys. Not everyone's gonna be able to run him. Now in terms of PvE though, I think in PvE he's gonna be in the trash tier, because I mean, he is red, he is human red, so actually maybe C tier, right? I will give him the benefit of the doubt, but he's not really providing any crazy damage or any basic stats, which is what we kind of look for in PvE. We're looking for buffing our damage and stuff like that, where this kind of Vargis right here, he does have double single target, which is good with Roxy for like human content PvE, but overall, I mean, are you gonna run this guy, or would you rather run, in terms of red human, would you rather run like Levi, or I don't even know, like who else do we got red human wise? I think I probably got all the red humans in this tier though, right? Like Reinhardt and stuff, right? Honestly, I should probably put Vargis maybe down to this tier than the D tier, yeah, because now I'm looking at it, like I do have the better humans in this tier, which I would honestly recommend over Vargis in my opinion, guys. So yeah. Alright, well, we'll leave him in the D tier then. Yeah, he's not really viable in PvE. He has his niche, but it's very specific, and you have to run him alongside Percival. And yeah, I mean, other than that, you're not really going to use the character. Guys, again, he's just a kind of a trophy unit, not really something that people are really going to be able to take advantage of, but I did want to mention him in this video because he did release in the game, and he is a actual character in Grand Cross. Alright, guys, now moving on to the final character here we are going to be ranking on the tier list, and this is also going to apply for all the other stuff on the tier list too. We're going to move around some stuff based on how good this character is. And yeah, guys, I mean, Young Knight Lancelot, absolutely absurd of a character. Let's go over his kit and talk about what he's able to do. So for his passive here, Heroic Qualities, applies insight on the hero at the start of the battle for 3 turns. The hero's max HP increases by 8% for each applicable ally participating in the battle, and when an applicable ally uses a single target attack and deals damage, the mark of insight is applied for 3 turns and at a maximum of 1 enemy. And in addition, each time an applicable ally deals damage to an enemy afflicted with mark of insight during the ally's turn, the hero gains 1 piercing arrow, and at the start of the ally's turn, the hero's attack related stats will increase by 5% for each attack type skill the enemy has. Now, the applicable allies are going to be humans, fairies, and Fortnights of the Apocalypse. The insight effect is going to be applicable allies, damage taken minus 30%. Now, the human allies will be getting 15% defense related stats for each 1% participating in the battle. And then fairy allies are going to gain basic stats plus 5% for each one participating in the battle. And then Mark of Insight is going to be critical defense minus 50%. Piercing arrow is going to be pierce rate plus 100%. All removed when dealing damage with an all target attack other than the ultimate move. And that stacks up to 3 times. Alright, so moving on from that, guys, we do have a brand new effect here, which is called a talent. And Lancelot's the first character to introduce this into the game. So for Lancelot's talent here, it's going to reveal the enemy's skills on the ally's turn the talent is used. Removes debuffs from the hero equal to the number of enemies participating in the battle. And in the cooldown is going to be 3 turns. So pretty much you're able to use this at your started turn, and it's going to have a 3-turn cooldown. And yeah, it's only usable in PvP at the moment, guys. So active only in PvP. So moving on to his skills here, guys, we got his first skill here with Rough Play. Inflicts impact damage equal to 180% of attack on one enemy. Impact is going to be triple the pierce rate increase and ignoring enemy resistance as well. It's going to scale from 180 to 70 and 450% of attack. Now moving on to his next skill here, we got the Crashing Barrage, which is going to inflict penetration damage equal to 100% of attack on all enemies. And penetration damage is going to be attack plus 50% when using his skill, and increases the damage dealt by half of the pierce rate for the character. And in terms of the skill, for that, guys, it's going to go 100, 150, and 250% respectively based on the skill ranks of the character. And then moving on to his ultimate here, guys. Now this is at 3 out of 6, so this obviously changes depending on the dupe levels. But level 3, Shining Road, increases the hero's attack related stats by 50% for 3 turns. The hero gains 3 piercing arrows, then inflicts impact damage equal to 600% of attack on all enemies. While the hero is participating in the battle, enemies afflicted with the Mark of Insight will have their damage dealt decreased by 20%. That is at the 3 out of 6 or higher, guys, so bear that in mind. And then when the hero uses a all target attack other than the ultimate move, additional damage dealt is equal to 70% of the damage dealt to the enemies afflicted with the Mark of Insight. So pretty much when you use the AoE, you're going to get additional 70% of the total damage dealt on everyone that you've done on the one enemy that has Mark of Insight. And then yeah, in terms of the effects, guys, you got Piercing Arrow again, so 100% pierce rate increase for each piercing arrow, stacks up to 3 times, and they all get removed with an AoE other than the ultimate move. And then impact is going to be pierce rate increase, ignores resistance, Mark of Insight being the critical defense minus 50%. Alrighty, guys, now where are we going to be ranking Lancelot on the tier list? So let's do PvE first, because I've done all my PvE videos here. We've done, you know, I did one PvP showcase for the character, but I've seen enough in PvP to know. I've done a little bit of testing on my own as well. But for PvE, guys, I'm going to rank Lancelot in the A tier, solid A tier. You know, he's really, really good across the board. He's usable in all demonic beast battles. He's usable in Demon King as well. I've done my video for Demon King too. Yeah, he's really good. He's kind of just like a very general use character, you know. It's kind of the same thing as like you are Askinor, where you can kind of take him in pretty much anything in PvE and you'll still do really good. Now, I don't think he's better than DK Melly, Shuna, or even Xion, I mean, and then LR Liz. I don't think he's better than those 3 in my opinion, but I think he's still really, really strong across the board, guys. You can use him in any PvE content and do well. You know, that is a really nice thing about him. And because he is also a human character, you can run him alongside Roxy, which means you can speed run a lot of content in the game. And then because he's with fairies as well, you can kind of, you know, synergize with, you know, maybe LR King, and you can do kind of some shenanigans with that. So overall, I think, yeah, he's a really good A tier PvE character overall, guys. So that's where I'm going to rank him there. Now moving on to the PvP side of the game, he is going to be in the top tier PvP. I mean, you guys kind of knew this, right? You guys kind of knew this. Now, let's actually order it based on the strength of teams in PvP right now, guys. So I am gonna move Thor down to the A tier because I don't think she's on the best variant of Unknown right now, but I will give her the benefit of the doubt. You know, she is still viable on this team, but I'm gonna say this is probably where I'd be at right now. I'm gonna move Demons down 1 peg as well. And we're gonna move up the fairy team, actually, which is very surprising. So let me find LR King. LR King is going up here. We got LR Galaxinia moving up here, and then I'm gonna grab the green Elaine as well, because I think she is actually really, really good for this team as well. Let me just find the green Elaine here. Alright, so we got the green Elaine. So yeah, guys, I think right now the top 2 teams in PvP at the moment are gonna be the Unknown team or any type of Milim team, pretty much. And then any type of Lancelot team, pretty much, right? It's like you have a go first or lose meta with these 2 characters. If Lancelot's team LTCs, you're probably going to beat the Milim. If Milim's team LTCs, you're going to beat her. I will give the edge to Milim because she's more universal. You can run her on literally any other team. Lancelot is restricted to the humans, fairies, and 4 Knights of the Apocalypse characters. But overall, I mean, he's very, very good, guys. Like, don't get it twisted. You know, I know a lot of people were saying that Lancelot needs a buff. I do not think he needs a buff. I think the character is completely fine. He is not in need of a buff. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a S tier, you know, top of the meta character, arguably number one. You could argue he is better than Milim in some scenarios, but overall Milim is a, you know, I would say, you know, a clear number one over Lancelot. I'd say Lancelot's number two in terms of PvP in the game, but very, very strong at that. And again, remember, like, Queen Diane can be run alongside Milim, or it can be run alongside Lancelot. You can run so many other options with Milim here with these other teams too. And yeah, the human team I will say is third, so I'll move up the humans here. So we'll grab some of these guys, we'll move them up. But yeah, I mean, I would say for the tier list overall, guys, I do have the top tier ranked, but everything else not really ranked. You know, it's just kind of there. So you know, I do have humans here at the top of this tier. So you know, and as I mentioned, I would say humans are number 3 right now in the game, and then demons. But yeah, that's kind of where I put in, and you got the flex options down here. So yeah, man, that is pretty much the updated tier list, guys, as of 2024 November. So you guys let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the characters that released this month. Let me know where you guys would place the characters as well. And again, feel free to check the link in the description to actually see the tier list and where I actually ranked all the characters, guys. I'm going to link it available so that you guys can just like look over it yourself to kind of see whether or not a character is good or not in the game. So yeah, that is going to be it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and we're going to see you guys on the next one, man. Peace out. Have a good rest of your day, guys. See you later, man.